So I believe we're live now. All right. My name is Paul Kim. If you don't know who I am, I run a marketing agency uh, dealing with mostly real estate. And so today I wanted to go over Google reviews. Now, um, today I'm actually going live stream on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. I thought, let me try another channel, LinkedIn. And so I'm streaming live on YouTube and LinkedIn. So if you have any comments, please put them on the chat and hopefully I'll be able to read it off of my using Talk Studio multi-stream platform. All right. So before I get into the how of getting more reviews, specifically Google reviews, I want to talk about the why. Why do you need reviews? And specifically, why do you need Google reviews? And so, um, you know, consumers nowadays, especially, if you're buying products, especially if you're buying products with Amazon, I mean, we got Amazon boxes coming like literally every other day at our house. Amazon has taught us to read reviews. So anytime you buy a product, you look at reviews, right? Um, Anything that we buy, even services nowadays, like if I were to go and somebody recommends a shop or a store, I would look at their review on Google to see what kind of testimonials or reviews they got before I go and shop for their product or services, right? There's different review sites out there. There's Yelp reviews specifically for food. They do other things like travel destination. Zillow specifically for real estate. There's another review site called G2 if you're into business softwares or businesses services. So there's various sites out there for reviews. Now, why Google reviews? Because Google, specifically if you have a local business. Now, when I mean local, it means your like mom and pop stores, as well as local service related businesses like real estate, plumbers, contractors, and so forth and so on. Okay. And then why are reviews so important? Because in the eyes of Google, right, not only does it help with your credibility, it helps with um, just when you talk about how good you are, nobody listens. But when somebody else says good things about you, they're more receptive to it because it's coming from somebody that have used that product or services, right? Um, and so it builds credibility for you and your business, right? In the eyes of Google, especially when it comes to local SEO, um, it builds. It's one of the major factors when it comes to um, uh, ranking, local ranking. All right. Let me just make sure that I am streaming okay. I'm gonna just check with my staff. All right, and just want to make sure that I'm streaming and she's checking. She's on my feed right now and making sure that I can be heard. Okay. So the other thing is when you are putting in Google, especially reviews, like in Google reviews, you're also competing with also other service providers or other products or service providers. And so um, sometimes it's not a matter of the number of reviews, but it's also the frequency. It's also the type of reviews that you're getting. If somebody's just putting a 5-star review as opposed to somebody just leaving a detailed review about their experience and stuff like that, that weighs more heavily because Google looks at that as content, right? And looks at keywords and things like that. And so um, that's why it's important when you get Google reviews. It's the how we can talk about, but it's um, you're also competing with other people in your industry, other competitors, and they're looking at your reviews and seeing, is it most recent? Is it, whether it's 4 stars, 3 stars, if you're competing with somebody that has all 3 stars and another business that has 5 stars, the consumer is going to gravitate toward the person that has 5 stars, even though it has less. I mean, the more reviews, the better, right? All right. So, if let's talk about some of the hows, right? I'm going to talk about 5 or 6 items, and these are things that we actually implement for ourselves as well as for our clients, right? The number one thing when it comes to getting more reviews, the number one thing, okay, this is what most people struggle with, is not asking. So you have to ask for it. Ask for it. Ask for it. Now, when do you ask? You ask for it at the beginning of the transaction, during the transaction, and after the transaction. And especially if you're in real estate, because we deal with a lot of real estate related professionals, it's before the transaction. And it's because in most instances, like, after you close, it's done. And so trying to get a review after a transaction is very, very difficult, right? I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's nearly probably the probability, the percentage of getting the review is less, right? And you have to train yourself, you have to train your staff in constantly asking for reviews, not to a point of where you're pestering them, but as a courtesy, and letting them know how important it is for your business. And you have to understand, especially if you're in the local market and you are, your business is important, you have to treat this as important. I understand there's other social media platforms out there, but you have to also, like, this is you're competing. When you're competing on social media, Instagram, Facebook, for that matter, it's worldwide, whereas Google is specifically local, right? And so that's why, I think it's important, and I think more and more businesses are going to realize how important it is, and hopefully it's not too late to catch up. Okay. And especially, with real estate agents, the best time, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, is probably at the closing table, right? When you're actually closing, right before they close, so that way, gets it out of the way. So you have to ask for it, right? And so that's really the number one, I think, obstacle when it comes to businesses, is they don't ask for it because they feel, at the end of the day, like, who likes giving reviews, or who likes writing reviews, But if you think that way, then you're going to project that to your clients and customers. And so you have to ask for it, and you have to realize how important it is for your business, right? Number 2, request the review when is the best time they feel good about the transaction. So, like, let's say, for example, a dentist, right? Definitely not after you pull out their teeth, right? And you ask for the review. Not a good time, right? So you have to ask for it probably maybe a week later, right? After they've done the transaction, or even, maybe before, but probably not. You want to ask for it afterwards, right? Like certain situations, like, for example, real estate transactions, right? When would a client or customer feel good about, let's just take, for example, a real estate transaction, and you're buying a house, right? How about when they get a clear to close, right? When they get a clear to close, how good do you feel? Because you're now ready to close, and you're like hyped up, and you're like, wow, let's, I'm all the parties are ready to close, and you got a clear to close from the bank, and so now is a good time to ask for the review, right? So you have to ask for the review when the client feels good, right? Not when they're pissed off at a certain, there's always bumps along the transaction. If you're, typically a service provider, right? There's bad moments and good moments. So you want to ask for it when there's a good moment, right? Number three is automate the process, because it is a you know, because at the end of the day, you forget to do it, or you just kind of like, you know, the day goes through and you just, you know, oh, I got to send that person an email or text to ask for a review. If you automate it, then that is the best time to the best way, okay, if you automate the process. And I'm going to show you an example for those. So what I've done recently, if you've noticed through some of my transactions, through some of the previous webinars, I changed the process a little bit, because I alternate between doing a YouTube and also a Zoom webinar. So this week I'm doing a YouTube, and next week I'm doing a Zoom, right? I feel Zoom is a little bit more interactive than a YouTube. So what I've done is I've created a workflow. This is a new platform that we recently launched this year, just recently. And I'm going to show you a workflow of, let me just go here and show you on my screen. So this is our Pro 360 for my marketing agency. And this, as you can see here, there is this webinar workflow. So for those that register for this webinar or ask to get access to this webinar, they're put into this workflow, right? And once they come into this workflow, I have these two branches that goes from YouTube Live and Zoom, which is next week. And so once they register, they get this confirmation email, and then this just tells me the date and the time. So it's the system knows when the event started. And then 1 hour before, everybody that registered for this webinar or this live actually got a email and a text. And then right here, there are 9 people that are waiting, which would happen 2 hours after the event. And then a text message and an email goes out with the replay, with basically the link to the YouTube link is going to go out. And then I add an internal note as well. And then they go into a pipeline flow, which is kind of like, for those that are familiar with CRMs. And then down here, as you'll see here, an email goes out automatically. And this is something that I implemented recently. And so everybody that is going through this workflow is going to get an email. And so my point here is that in every transaction or every business has some type of workflow, right? And so in that workflow, you have to create a process or a step or some sort of automations where you ask for the review, right? Because at the end of the day, if you rely on yourself, you're just going to end up forgetting about it. And so I totally recommend it. So if you're interested in knowing more about the Pro 360, it is something that I'm going to be promoting more. And actually, it's helped my business tremendously. I've been looking for something. And so when I came across, it is built on a platform called GoHighLevel, but I am customizing specifically for local businesses and for coaches. That's basically what I do as well. Okay. And then number 4, as we're going through some of the things that we can do to make it so that you can get more reviews, is make the link easy to remember. Okay. Let me go through some of the examples of some of the ways that you can make the link easy to remember, right? Using a QR code, right? We have set up some of our clients with QR codes where some brokers have put them on the closing table, a closing table in their room or a closing room, right? We had some agents use a QR code to put in as part of their closing package if you're a real estate agent. And we have some, like one of our artists, his name is Alan. He has a QR code which he puts when he draws people, and he asks them, and people scan them, and then they get their name and email, as well as getting them reviews. And as a result of doing that, I think over a period of about 1.5 years, he's gotten, I think, close to 100 reviews on his Google on his Google site. All right. The other way that you can um, um, do it is easy to remember, is getting a domain that you can easily remember. So let me show you, for example, um, two of our clients. So basically purchased a domain, and if I type in review Lisa Ortiz. She's one of our clients. And so it goes directly to her Google review, right? Another one specifically is Review Kosha, which is one of our clients as well, and it goes directly. So that's another way. We have actually created one where we utilize subdomains. Subdomains is the main domain. Before the main domain, there's that so let's say, for example, I'll give you an example. It's like review.kmadison, right? So that's what we use. If we want, this is a different type of review system that we use that is part of Pro360. And it basically sends them, if they click 5, if they, it sends them on a different way if you click 3 and 4. Now, there's some, there's some maybe controversy about, whether that's considered review gating, but we have in here, it's kind of a gray line because we do have in here a way that kind of says, if we do the 3 stars, it says if you wish to address your concerns, then we have a way for them to go directly to Google. So that's kind of over there's kind of a gray line, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But anyway, so there's different ways to utilize domains and subdomains to make it easy for people to, for your customers and clients to give you reviews. But the most important part is whether you utilize QR codes or whether you use domain names or to redirect them to the Google reviews, is to actually implement it, right? Just like what I said, number 1, actually ask for it. You got to implement, right? As much as I talk about all these things right now, those businesses that are going to win are those that actually take what I say and actually implement it in their business. Okay. And then number 5, help your customers and clients with the reviews by giving examples of what to write. I think a lot of times when people ask for reviews, I'm like, what should I write? I've had, clients tell me, hey, tell me what you want me to write and I'll, write it for you. Just send it to me, right? So it helps to kind of write in an example. So I'm going to do an example here. So right here is this email that's going to go out after the fact, right? So I'm going to put in here, and I didn't do this yet because I just modified this today. So I'm going to just put in here, take 5 minutes of your time to share your feedback so others can benefit, right? For example, like I said, what did share what anything that you learn, share anything new that you've learned from this event. Okay, something like that, right? It could be as simple as that, or you can be more specific. So because we deal with a lot of real estate agents, we have actually set up, a couple of examples of what they could write based on their experience. What did they like? What did they, I forgot exactly. We have it in a template that we actually send out to each of our clients. So you can help them by giving them examples of what to write for, when it comes to asking for reviews. Okay. And then lastly, number 6, I was going to talk about this, but I decided to add this in, is lastly, you can create campaigns that encourages people to write reviews, right? You can do some sort of, I would only do these campaigns for those people that you are really that are either your clients or customers, that are some sort of like maybe possibly giveaway campaigns. Now, I know that Google as well as other platforms have restrictions or guidelines that you cannot incentivize get reviews, right? I think it's more of if you put in their incentive to give them positive or 5-star reviews, but if you just ask for any type of review, whether it's positive or negative, that's sufficient enough. Okay. I'm more aggressive when it comes to asking for reviews, because I think reviews is so important nowadays. And so on that note, I talked about those 6 items, and I think that's about it for today. Next week, we are going to talk about, I forgot what the topic was. I think, let me just go and take a quick look at it before we end this live. Our next week's topic is, setting up local service ads, right? I think for those local businesses, if you're not utilizing local service ads, local service ad is, it's different from Google PPC. It is specifically geared to local businesses. If you ever conducted a search for a local business, and you search and you see the top portion where it says Google screened, those are local service ads or sponsored ads that Google has been is doing for local businesses. So next week we're going to go over how to set it up, and maybe look at some of the ways to manage it. But we're going to go and I'll show you, go through an example of a local business that we actually set up a local service ad recently, and we'll go over that, and hopefully I'll see you next week. All right. I'm just going to check if there's any questions. And before I leave, I am going to just check to see if there's any questions on the I have a link that takes me to the question. Let me see if there's any. Nope, I don't see any questions. And let me see if there's any questions here. Nope, I don't see any questions. So, but if you do have any questions, in the link below, there is a link that you can put there, any questions, and I will address any questions that you have during these live, call it coaching sessions or live, it doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, I'm here to serve you, address any questions, and help you learn more about local SEO, how to generate more business or customers with less work. All right. I'll see you next week. Bye now.